Please be advised that the nutrition recommendations provided in this video are of a general nature for cancer survivors. Individual nutritional requirements are subject to variance based on various factors. Please consult with a healthcare provider for a tailored prescription. The nutritional information and advice presented are in no way intended as a substitute for medical consultation.
Good.
Welcome, I'm Ankiel Dux. I'm a cancer survivor thanks to my treatment at Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. This series, developed by Sylvester's lifestyle medicine experts, is dedicated to us, cancer survivors at any stage of our journey looking to improve our dietary habits. After all, diet is something we can take charge of. A healthy diet can improve our symptoms, our overall health, and prevent cancer from coming back. This episode will give us a deeper understanding of the importance and impact of protein. Joining us is Dr. Paola Rossi. Thank you. And Dr. Rossi is a family physician and acts as the clinical program director for lifestyle medicine at Sylvester.
Thank you for having me, Yen.
Of course. So before we dive in, could you please refresh our memory on the dietary recommendations for survivors provided by the American Cancer Society?
Of course. So the American Cancer Society recommends eating a predominantly plant-based diet focused on fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats and protein, and avoiding red and processed meats, added sugar, and alcohol.
Okay, so we have that list. We obviously can remind ourselves, we can look for that more information from ACS, all those recommendations, and also how to create a healthy plate as part of this video series. In this episode, we are going to start with the basics. What exactly is protein and why do we need it?
That's an excellent question. So proteins are one of the essential macronutrients. We need it for many reasons. They are part of how we build muscle and other tissues. They are enzymes and hormones. They are also part of the immune system. So as you can see, a very big amount of functions that they do every day. And protein is made actually from a smaller unit that is called amino acids. And these amino acids are, not all of them are made in our body. So we need them to get there with our diet.
So how much protein then do we need? And I know that might be a loaded question.
It's okay. So the USDA recommends between 10% or 35% of our daily values to be from protein, which means around 50 to 175 grams of protein in a 2,000 calorie diet, which might seem a little bit confusing, and we'll dive in a little bit later, but that is the recommendation. And one of the kind of biggest fears that people have about protein is like, oh, I'm not having enough, right? And that if I don't get it from this realm, I won't get it from anywhere. And actually, both plant and animal protein have all those amino acids that are not created in our body that are called essential amino acids. And the difference is that they have it in different values. So some of these might not have the same amount of these and the different proportions, but they are still giving us protein that we need and are good enough for us. People often think that protein is just from animals, but it's so much more than that. So we are going to cover a little bit of the animal protein right now. So we have salmon there, we have tilapia, which is a very easy to get fish, shrimp, chicken. This is canned sardines that are great source of omega-3s, low-fat cheese, our awesome milk, and eggs. So all of this actually bring great protein. On the other side, we have our plant-based ones that we have a different variety of legumes or beans. We have red ones, black, garbanzo beans, or some people call them chickpeas, and then different kinds of lentils, and then edamame and tofu that are soy products that are really good. And then finally, things that maybe people don't relate directly to protein, that is nuts. They're actually a good source. And if we think about other like plant sources, you can always think that vegetables and fruit bring protein. They don't bring them in huge amount, but they're still good for you. And finally, I love this one. It's nutritional yeast. It has a great amount of protein, but also has that little cheesy taste to it. So it's a really good addition to any meal, actually.
So I want to go back a bit to talk more about the animal proteins. I've read that red meat is a carcinogen, and that's concerning for me, for my family.
Yeah, it can be very scary, especially because as a carcinogen, it's related to other cancer-inducing substances like tobacco. So it actually, what it has proven is that processed meats and red meats have a higher risk of producing cancer or increasing your chances of getting cancer. So that is why we call them carcinogen type A and B. So we don't really recommend the consumption of those.
And I know we talked about this graphic, this image that will really guide us through what's good and maybe perhaps what we should stay away from. Talk us through the leg approach. That's what I'm calling it.
I love it. So no legs is best, or so it's fish basically, or seafood. Then we have 2 legs, which is poultry, chicken, and what's the name of the other? Turkey, sorry. And then we have 4 legs, right? We have the beef, the pork, and then we have this unknown number of legs, right? Like those processed meats that you don't really know where they came from, whether they're made of. So those we should really stay clear of them.
So don't eat those that are on that far edge of the spectrum. You spoke about fish and how great it is. Why is it so good for us?
So fish has, first of all, is very low in fat. And when they do have fat, like salmon, for example, that we constantly say about salmon that has the good fats, it actually brings what we call a polyunsaturated fat that is omega-3 that we usually don't consume much. And that balance between omega-3s and omega-6 is really important. So salmon or sardines actually bring that to the table, which is great.
And we have a few other items here too. I see the eggs. Talk us through some of these options as we move in my direction.
So eggs also are great. There we have yogurt, great food, not only because it brings protein, but it's also a fermented food that is great for gut health and is usually very low in fat. And if we buy well, we will not have added sugars to that. So it's a great source of protein.
And the plant-based options.
Yes.
Are we looking at this
Tofu.
arena here?
Yeah, the famous tofu, right? Like tofu, edamame, all soy products, right? And the mystery regarding them is there was a big article that came out a few years ago that talked about the relationship between soy and cancer. And it was a study that was made in mice. It was, when we looked at it translated to people, we didn't really see any increased risk of developing cancer. In fact, what we saw is that it reduces the risk of cancer coming back for some specific types of cancer. So we really kind of encourage people to have tofu because it has a great source of tofu. It's a great source of protein, and it really brings other benefits.
So we can certainly add that to our diet, or at least try it, as we think about adding to our diet versus subtracting as well. We talked about a bit before the nutritional yeast. You mentioned some ways in which we could use it. Can you dig a bit deeper? And so I'm ready to go tomorrow.
Yeah, so nutritional yeast has a lot of benefits. First of all, it's pretty cheap. The second one is 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast brings a lot of protein, and you can sprinkle them on salads, you could put it on soups, you could put it inside a sandwich. It really brings that cheesy kind of flavor to your foods. So it's a really easy add-on that doesn't bring calories to the food, and it's really great.
Wonderful. Okay, now let's take this information and apply it to craft protein-rich meals, and we have a beautiful display right here that you've created. Talk us through this first dish.
Okay, so I always think about mix and matching your grains, legumes, and other veggies. So here we mixed actually quinoa with red beans. So only with that, we already have 24 grams of protein in just this dish. Add on now the vegetables, and you get easily to a 30-gram meal, which is pretty impressive.
And you have everything in one bowl. You don't have to have anything else. This is quick and easy, ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. On the other side, here we have the easy lunch or even a snack if you want to, or a breakfast. And it's scrambled tofu with some veggies. Again, tofu is really high in protein. It has 21 grams per serving. So with this dish, same concept, right? High protein, high in nutrients, and ready to go and eat.
And so are we just switching out the tofu, getting rid of the egg, adding the tofu in? Are we just scrambling it like we would, or?
Exactly the same. And we're not really getting rid of the egg. Maybe just like switch, right?
Yes.
Like one day egg, one day
Yes.
tofu, another option. And just I added turmeric for the coloring and to add some phytochemicals in there.
Wonderful addition.
And then again, like very easy lunch or even dinner if you have a light dinner, which is a sandwich with sardines. Again, canned sardines ready to mix with some mayo, and we have avocado, tomatoes, again to raise a little bit that protein content and overall nutrient dense food. And finally, and my personal favorite, this is one of the dips. I love spreadables. They're easy to put on a toast, on a wrap, or just dip in. And this one is an edamame and yogurt. So it kind of mixes yogurt and an animal-based protein and a plant-based protein, and you just mix it all up.
And it seems like something too that you could make a lot of and then enjoy the entire week.
100%. And again, like we have the fermentable product here with the yogurt, and it really lasts a long time in the fridge, so it's easy to have.
And sometimes the chips get us in trouble. We pick the right dip and then we get in trouble with the chips. I see something potentially healthy here. Any recommendations?
Yeah, so when I think about like chips or any kind of food that goes with my spreadable, I always think about, again, whole grains. So if it's gonna be a chip, trying to think about that. Plantain chips, a way to add another fruit to my diet, or bread or anything that we know kind of the ingredients that have.
And you can almost see too, when you look at these different dishes, that you could probably just switch out some of these different ingredients and make yet something else.
Completely agree. I feel that is the key. Like, okay, I don't have spinach, just put lettuce. You don't have anything, just do the scrambled egg and tomatoes, and that's completely fine.
And so the 3 key takeaways.
Okay, so I would say choose lean protein sources with 2 legs or less. Avoid red and processed meats, and choose legumes, which are beans, lentils, chickpeas more often.
Well, Dr. Rossi, this has been delightful, and I just can't even get over the beauty that you have created in these dishes. So thank you so much. Thank you for the new recipe inspiration. I can't wait to try them at home, and I'm sure you all are feeling the same way. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time.